lot of collaboration, a lot of teamwork is needed for you to be able to translate some of this research, including industry collaboration, which is presently lacking. And that is why at Coast City University, we are inviting industry practitioners to come and work with us. All right? Some of them can come weekly to deliver lectures or to conduct practicals to support what we are doing. And recently, we introduced certificate programs or diploma programs on cybersecurity, front-end development, back-end, and the rest of them. What we are saying is that how do we encourage skill development, employability skill, ensuring that our graduates leave schools with future skills, and making sure that we are teaching our students for the future and not for the past. Thank you so much.
Excellent. Professor Michael, well done. Dr. Nnamdi, as a data analyst, how has the rise of emerging technologies such as AI, machine technology, changed the speed at which research can be commercialized?
Thank you very much. Before I go to your question, I want to say, just to add to echo more to what the last speaker has said. Research is really a very important thing. That is, government should be the major drivers. You know, when you mention productivity level, when the productivity level of a country is low, whether it's a state or local government, it's actually an issue to the government. But that means there's going to be low employment. So what happens is that the two knowledge-based institutions, which is the university and, of course, the enterprise space, should work in collaboration. So that gap must be bridged. So if the knowledge-based institution is actually working with graduates, then there should be an internship programs. So when there's an internship programs, what happens is that the graduates now from the university can now work with the enterprise skills. There's going to be a collaboration. And that will give room for jobs. And of course, when there's a job, and when you mention Nigeria, Enugu says is actually one of the leading states. So what happened is that AI as a tool has changed everything. So how does it now relate to research turning into startups? The kind of curriculum that university should design now should be a kind of curriculum that addresses solutions. So what kind of research, even whether it's PhD, students that are doing PhD at the moment, what kind of PhD topics will university design? The topics should also be a topic that solves a particular problem. So innovation is the key. So AI has revolutionized the world. And that should be the aim. So there will be a complete overhaul of Nigerian university curriculum in a way that it can now meet its own counterpart in the world. So that's exactly the first thing to do. So new curriculum designs, which are most times is a collaboration between the university and the enterprise skills. So there should be a collaboration in coming out with a kind of courses that universities should be doing. So research is not, research is not in isolation. It must be designed in a way that addresses a particular problems. So AI is leading the world. And to answer your questions, today, and you know that AI doesn't work in isolation. So AI, the engine of what?
Thank you very much. Please, we want to turn to, for want of time, we want to turn to the audience. If you have questions for our panel. Question?
Please, before the question, let me just add something to what the last speaker said in terms of the AI or machine learning algorithms. Every technology comes with opportunities, potentials, as well as problems. We all agree that AI can facilitate research because you have a lot of AI platforms or models, including ChatGPT, Grok, and the rest of them, which can actually help students to study on their own, independent learning, personalized learning, and the rest of them. That way, if you have a research-driven student, that person can actually have a lot of resources to play with in terms of making inquiry, all right? A lot of data sets, a lot of publicly available, massive open online resources, which we call MOOP, to play with. However, it is also a problem. And then again, before the problem, you have a lot of smart simulation labs, virtual labs are available where you can actually test some of your solutions at little or no cost. Some of them are free, whereas some are based on subscription. However, AI is also affecting the quality of some of the research output we're having in the universities, because it's making some of our students really lazy. You have a lot of students who no longer consult, who no longer read, who no longer think. They all depend on Google or AI tools or platforms. You give a student a research work to do, rather than concentrating on looking for a solution or being original. Novelty is very key. Originality is key. It's been affected by AI because a lot of students now rely so much on leveraging the potentials of AI technologies to cheat, not only in examinations, but only in research, to copy, all right? And we have had problems where students even travel to other universities to go and collect ready-made projects, to come and duplicate or replicate it. If we continue in that trajectory, there's no way we are going to get it right. There's no way we are going to have problem-based research. And there's no way our country is going to move forward. And Nigeria cannot continue to import everything, yet we have proliferation of universities. Do you know how many universities, how many tertiary institutions we have in Enugu State? We have in Ogun State. Some of these universities are fast becoming modern industries, number of industries. And that is because our educational system has failed to deliver. It's not what it's supposed to be. And all of us that are here as professors, we also take some responsibility to that. And that's why we are doing our part to change what is happening. Okay, I believe with the current leadership we have in ASUT, in Coast City University, and the current leadership we have in our state, I think the state is serious about problem-based research. And that is why Enugu Tech Festival, you see some aspect of it, devoted to startup, devoted to encouraging problem-based research. And we're looking forward to more incentive to universities, to tertiary institutions, so that they can be able to, engage in more serious-oriented or problem-oriented research going forward. There's no way we can grow as a nation if we continue to import everything, if we continue to run a certificate-based educational system where people just do everything they can to just get certificates. We must move our education from certificate to skill, making sure that skill, employability skill, becomes at the center of our curriculum. Presently, there's a lot of gap in our curriculums. And thank God that the National Universities Commission, NUC, came up with the CCMAS, Core Curriculum Minimum Academic Standard, which has given the universities the opportunity to develop or own 30% of the curriculum based on their locality. And problem solving in the universities starts from localizing our solutions, start from the immediate community. If you want to solve a world problem, you need to start from the local community. Identify problem within your community and begin to use that as a research project in our institutions, and we're going to get it right. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Can I say something? Yes.
Please, can you make it very brief, please?
Yes, 1 minute. What I want to say finally that AI is a very good tool. Because people normally have a lot of controversy about AI. What you need to think about AI is that AI is now going to be a soft skills to everybody. So AI works as a tool and AI is also a collaborator. But the thing you need to know is that how do you use AI to solve problems? So I know there's a kind of, the developing nations are saying that AI is not something that they are ready to use now. But I can tell you, it has a lot of input. For instance, if you Google information in Google now, the kind of information you will get is generic, but AI will give you the best options. So AI has become a tool. Even in universities, we don't ask you to use AI to involve in malpractices by copying everything. But AI will be a good guide for you to make a decision in a split seconds. So today, AI has become a tool and a soft skills. So it's something that every country needs to embrace.
Fantastic.
Yes, exactly.
Fantastic. You all agree with me that in the world of academics, those in the academics are always they're always on the forefront. They are not only researchers. They bring real life issues. They give life to issues that people find it very difficult to understand. Professor Onyema, from his own perspective, is trying to make us to understand that students no longer visit the library. They no longer open the pages of textbooks that are clustered in our library. Whereas Doc is trying to make us to understand that AI remains a tool, a very viable tool needed for our research work. Thank you very much. Please, we can take a few questions from the audience. Just one or two questions for want of time. We don't have time. And we take this.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Lena. Of course, the importance of AI in research, genomic biotechnology, and data analysis can be overemphasized.
Please be audible. We can't hear you.
Even though the disadvantage, they can be disadvantaged when it is in misuse. But my question is, can students be exposed early to access grants? Because I think most projects are funded by students. Secondly, we talked about publication being a challenge because publications are used for promotion, it's a challenge. Now, is there a solution to it? Because it's limiting product-based research work. Because most people just want to do publications in international journals for promotions. How will industrialization be promoted to just research when it's research-based work are just used for journal publications and not product-based? Because I believe tech is actually growing very fast because most of their work is product-based and not just about public.
Can you rephrase your questions? You're not your question. The first question, please. It's not clear.
First question. Yes. I said, can students be exposed early to access grants for their project work? Because most project work are funded by students.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Okay.
Good day, everyone. My question is based on this implementation of these things that have been said about technology in Nigeria so far. Is there a firm? Is there an organization that will send the message to the Senate for them to implement this thing that we have been discussing since, so that they implement it and protest on it in the federal aspect? Yes, because so that things will be going at the direction of technology. As in, Nigeria will be a place where technology is allowed, vice. I don't know whether you get what I'm saying.
I don't
a
know.
firm that
It's
protests.
not clear. Okay, I think he's
Protect.
talking about politics.
Yes, like I said earlier, you asked a very good question. The political will is very important to do anything. If there's no political will, no matter what we say today, nothing will be implemented. Because the role of the government is to see. You should be visionary, exactly like what's happening in Enugu State for a month, as a good example. So yes, it's good to discuss it. It's good to put it out there. But then enforcement is the role of the government. And you, as an individual, has to also engage by making sure that the right person. I know in Nigeria, you could, at the end of the day, we know how things happen here. But then they are the policymakers, and I agree with you. So whatever we discuss here, if they don't implement it, it will not work. But the thing is that we should know where we are heading to. So technology is the key. And I told you, any country that must move forward, just like an industry, if you are not technological ready, it won't make any progress. So that's where the world is going. And Nigeria, for example, should be encouraged to join the race.
DG level. But if you have a good research that is based on problem solving, you can always approach your head of department or the research and development center available in any of these institutions to discuss your ideas. And then they can help you to assess funding or to write good proposals to appropriate organizations that can develop it, originality, problem solving, and a whole lot of other things, so that it can be attractive to funders, to be able to associate with you, to be able to fund your research. I know it's a challenge, and it's some of the things that ASU has been lamenting over the years, that a lot of students lack the capacity to engage in capital-intensive research. And we are calling on organizations that are here, including the international community, to come and collaborate and associate with universities in Enugu State, so that we can be able to, enhance our research ability and turn our research outputs into products. And I'm also calling on government in Nigeria to be able to reactivate our research or innovation hubs, incubation hubs. We have existing incubation hubs, but they are underdeveloped, they are underutilized, so that some of these ideas that comes up during research can actually be nurtured or breeded to yield a commercialized product. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Please, we don't have the
Please,
luxury of time.
let me just say some things in few seconds, just to support what my colleagues here have said. AI is a tool that have come to stay, both for the lecturers and for the students. But the thing is, let it be an assistive tool, not to take all over you. If you don't grasp it sincerely, you will be left behind. Learn it as a skill. And again, NUC and Koren is trying to make sure that our curriculum is indigenous problem solved based, outcome-based education, so that this problem we are talking about, we are starting. We are, in fact, for NUC to have developed CCMAS, Koren to have developed OBE, shows that we have that mindset. But it's not a thing that we just, take over overnight. Across all disciplines, AI, tech is very important. Whether you are in medicine, anywhere you are, grasp tech. And coming to funding, go online. There are a lot of funding bodies. For example, in ASUT, there is an innovation hub we have. And the vice chancellor made it that before every student graduates, you must learn a tech skill before you graduate to make you employable ready. Not when you go out, you start looking for a job. That skill you will learn in the university will make you employable ready. Yes, we are starting. But there are also units that is supporting students' ideation that is solving problem. And at that point, where they have seen that your research or your project is solving a particular problem that is needed in the society, they will call investors to come and see what you have done. And let me tell you, if it is really solving problem and is going to your fund, you will see people that will invest in it. And from there, you start up your business.
Thank you very much, Prof. Please, on a final note, you all agree with me that we've explored, celebrated success, and tried to find solution to this problem. But one thing we must leave here with is that the future does not need PDF. It's about time we'll start having prototype. Knowledge is powerful, like we all know. But when applied, it changes economy. Thank you very much.
Please let's put hands together for our beautiful panelists and the moderator. Thank you to Dr. Namdi, to Professor Onyama, we appreciate you, and also our own engineer, Professor Nena Nwobodo. Of course, you can tell that these are teachers, you know, not because they took a lot longer than they should. Sorry, did I mention that? I'm going back to class, so hey, I'm in trouble. Anyways, but teachers actually take their time to make sure you get it right. And I also like that Professor Nena was doing everything possible to make you understand this part. She didn't even have to mention it. It's also good to travel so you can experience the best practices. You know, she mentioned that. She tried to even mention some of the countries she's been with. In fact, she laid emphasis on a place she went to, in her words. In her words, when I went to China, I was in Beijing in China. I went to Beijing 3 times. So, did you hear that? Why? So that you can get it. You know, that's how it is. Thank you very much. And of course, they've made mention of AI, and tomorrow we'll be doing a lot of conversations around that. We'll be talking about, it's called the Web3 Day. So we're going to talk about AI, blockchain, emerging technologies, infrastructure, Web3, and the future of digital economies. Having said that, we're moving straight to the next thing we have on our agenda, and that's another fireside chat. We are close to the end of the day. But this one is titled Multi-Perspective View of Funding Trends, Opportunities, and Challenges. And we have some fantastic panelists to help us with this. But to lead as a moderator, I'd like to just call her the finest face on TV, on national TV. She is a presenter and newscaster on Afia TV. She is, please pardon me to use the word, the beautifulest face on our national television. I'm sure some of you can already guess who I want to invite. But ladies and gentlemen, it's my pleasure to bring up on stage a graduate of the Department of Mass Communication from the only University of Nigeria, Nsukka. Please, let's put our hands together for Ms. Nathalie Ukwu as she comes up on stage to introduce her panelists to us. Keep clapping now. I know they like fighting. Let's keep clapping to receive her. I'm sure she's going to introduce some of the brilliant minds that we have also as panelists here today. So let's go to that. Please put your hands together for her again.
Thank you so much, Lorenzo. Thank you so much, everyone, and good afternoon. I'm sure it's still afternoon. And I'm now considering going to Beijing after listening to Prof. Nena. It was a lovely panel discussion. So I want to start this way. First off, I want to commend the Enugu State government, especially the Ministry of Innovation, Science and Technology, and Eliezer, as well as his team, the organizing team that have put this together. On the morning show this morning, I just kept saying that by the very end, Enugu people will have more to look forward to than just the roadblock. Because now we have more things happening annually, and I think this is actually growing on all of us. So without further ado, we're going to go straight into the topic, which is, of course, building wealth in a high inflation economy. Now, many of us know that things are tough. I know many of us want to be able to buy anything, even without looking at the price tag. But unfortunately, that's not the way things are. So I don't have all the answers, but there are some special guests who definitely do. So I want to invite to join me, NAEOB, who is a Chief Marketing Officer at RiseVest, as well as Napa Ousa, a seasoned business leader. So I would like them both to join me quickly. Please make welcome and round of applause for them. Please keep clapping for them as they come up. So I'll read their bios quickly. Welcome. So I'll begin with NAEOB, who is a results-driven marketing professional with over a decade of experience in 360-degree marketing, working across different sectors from fast-moving consumer goods, banking, and telecoms. She has a proven track record of developing and implementing multiple successful campaigns that deliver return on investment and is listed among the top 109 female strategists to watch by the group Think UK. And of course, she's smiling at me. Beautiful blazer, which of course I'm leaving here with. Welcome. And right beside her, we also have Napa Owosa, who is a seasoned business leader, entrepreneur, and investor with over 25 years of experience in some of the world's leading technology and consulting companies. And her career spans roles at Amazon, of course. We also have Google, Visa, Microsoft, Cisco, and SAP. So it's a woman, I think now it's women supporting women. So great to have you all. Of course, NAE is in the blue jersey. And of course, we have Napa in the brown blazer. So we're talking about wealth. And some of us ask ourselves this question: is it possible to be wealthy in the current economic times? In fact, there are speculations that there is no longer a middle class. It's either you're rich or you're poor. How many people agree? Is there a middle class left in Nigeria? I didn't hear you loudly. So we're here to deliver the message. There is need for something to be done. There is need for us to build wealth, and that's why we're here. So I would like to start with you. Who would like to start? Let me start with Napa. Could you tell us your appreciation of the current economy, the state of inflation? What's the trend when it comes to inflation in this country?
Yeah, I think you've captured it right. And you guys that are in the room have responded as well. You don't think that there's a middle class. So things are challenging, not just for human beings, not just personally, but also for businesses. We're also seeing increased prices. We're seeing increased pressure. But we're also seeing initiatives like what Enugu State has done, that's opening up some of our cities, some of our states for new investment, new engagement. So the thing that is caught in the middle are human beings, of great things happening in Nigeria, but also the challenges of living in Nigeria. So yeah, it's a delicate time for us all at this stage.
Okay, so let me come to you now, NAE. Now, there is this speculation that, and I know many of you can relate, especially the youths. You've probably heard this before. Prices in Nigeria would go up, but coming down is always a challenge. In fact, if the price of fuel goes up to 2,000 and it comes down to 1.5, you're celebrating. Whereas there was a time it was 650, right? But now we tend to appreciate even the barest minimum because we've taken the barest maximum a lot. So could you tell me your reaction to this? Do you agree with that? And how can we, try to ensure that the money we make, especially those people working 9 to 5, are able to still, afford the basic necessities like petrol?
Okay, thank you. So, yeah, there's always that saying that, when prices go up, it never comes down. But the truth is, it takes a longer time for the monetary policies that the government is implementing to hit the market. So currently in Nigeria, we have headline inflation and food inflation. And over the last 3 years, it has been coming down. So 2024, we had the highest inflation rate that we had ever recorded, over 30%. But currently, headline inflation has dropped to 15%. And I know you're asking 15%, how does someone consign the price of egg in the market or the price of fuel? But as long as these policies continue to take effect over time, we would see that the prices of these things would come down because, Nigerians are more concerned about food inflation. That's where statistics show we spend 50 to 60% of our income on food, especially like the middle class that we are supposed to be having. So for someone in the 9 to 5 or for students, you need to start investing, to be honest.
I was praying to God that this won't happen, but it finally did.
Okay, so yeah, we need to start investing, right? And you may be thinking, investing is for people that have money or people that are rich. No, investing is for everyone. And the good thing is, we're at a tech conference. You have a lot of tech apps that are available to help you access both global and local investment. A good example is Rise, right? The brand I work with. On this platform, you can start saving with whatever you're comfortable with. You don't need to just keep your money lying there in the bank and then that money is not doing, because over the years it's losing value. The amounts that you could spend before, you can't spend that anymore.
And that's very true. So Napa, I would like you to contribute to that conversation, and also adding to what she said, what's the best way that people can build wealth, especially when you're told if you leave your money sitting in the bank, you're probably going to end up having less value because the value of the money will keep dropping with the high inflation. So what do you advise as a business leader?
Okay, so I actually wanted to add to what you were saying. Apart from investing, this is the best time to start a business. And you guys are at tech conference. So some of you are business owners, some of you are students. And I was talking to a couple of students over there, and they were saying the workload doesn't allow you to explore some of these new things. There are a couple of tools you can look at to help you start a tech business very quickly. I don't know how many of you have heard of Lovable. Fantastic. There are a couple of you in the room. You can actually spin off an app. There's somebody, I forget his name, but he actually got to 85,000 users in 16 weeks. And it's on a vibe-coded app. So consider that. So just back to your point on building wealth. Let me ask you guys another question. How many of you listen to Flavor Nabania's music here? Nobody in the room.
Please, if you do listen to Favor Nabania, let me hear you say
there are a couple
I.
of people.
So you have your audience.
Oh, very nice, very nice. So you see his videos, you're seeing money, people that have the spirit to spend money. We have this idea that making money in Nigeria is instant. The truth is that, yes, sometimes there are interventions, whether divine or from business or from investment. You invest in a great IPO and you get a return and you get a spike in the money you make. But the truth is, true wealth is built over time. I'm sure a lot of you have heard of Warren Buffett or Buffett, as some of us say. You've heard of some of these very wealthy men. And
sorry, let me just interrupt quickly. So the key question for us now is how? Because we know these industry leaders, we actually aspire to be like them, but how? What do we do to become as wealthy?
So Ene has mentioned one, invest. Rise Up is great. Compound interest makes sense. And that's where your mindset must come in. As in, when you invest, you're not going to invest and make money immediately. However, there are some opportunities that present themselves, like IPOs, that you can take advantage of, even with the small amount you have. So this is where I'm coming back to mindset. But because your mindset is one of, I am going to Ibozu from today, the thing is you do not take the time to learn about how to invest, and you do not take the time to invest small and continue to compound with interest and growth. The second thing is to start a business. The business can be a tech business. It can be a business that's just buying and selling. Another way to get wealthy over time. But when you're building your business, you must also learn how to run a business. Because some of us feel running a business is you buy something and you sell it. No, you want to build a business that grows, right? So that's the second thing. And then the third thing is truly wealthy people. Their wealth.
Sorry, before we move to the third thing, let's talk about the second. Because some people believe that not everyone is supposed to be an entrepreneur. That being an entrepreneur determines or demands that you have some skills. If you don't have that risk-taking ideology, if you don't have that motivation to, because starting the business is one thing, then continuing it is so exciting. 100%. You printed your stickers, you have your billboard, your office. Then day two, you realize it's continuous, right?
Yes.
So could you speak? Can everybody start a business?
So there are two types of entrepreneurs. There's an entrepreneur. This is where you are selling outside a product or a service to external people. And then there's an intrapreneur. This is somebody that is in an organization and you look for opportunity in the safety net of your pay slip, and you look for opportunities. So for example, I run a revenue consulting firm. That means we help people that their businesses are not making money. We help them find money for their business. There's somebody in our team that came up with an idea for us to start doing program management. She's getting a commission on that deal, and she's making money from it. She's an intrapreneur. She has not left her job. She's getting her money. She's receiving her salary. So if you're an entrepreneur, look, there's nothing you can't learn on YouTube. There's really nothing. You have to have the mindset to be able to learn how to run a business. There are many online free business accelerators. There are many programs you can use. This tech conference is a perfect platform to start. So you're correct.
All right. I usually am correct anyway, so thank you for acknowledging that. I usually am correct. So thank you for acknowledging. And you're correct as well. So let me come back to you, Nai. Now, I have a very interesting question for you. So one of the last panelists spoke about the elections. By next year, we'll see all of the candidates heading to the polls. And some people wait for every 4 years to make money. And that money they classify as wealth. Is that real wealth? And what classifies as real wealth?
That's an interesting question. So that is not wealth. That's just cash. That's money, right? So when you talk about wealth, you talk about assets. So I can give an example. Someone may have 200 million in the bank account, and someone doesn't have up to that, and you may think you're wealthier than that person. However, that person has other assets. So you can think of things like landed property, business. When they do the net worth of billionaires, they are talking about the assets that they have. So as an individual, okay, this may sound big. Let's bring it to, Enugu Tech Fest to the students. You need to start investing in assets. And the good thing is tech has made it accessible for you. You don't have to have huge income. You can download apps. To be honest, this is a beautiful time to be building wealth, right? You can download apps. You can invest in ETFs. So ETFs are like equity trust funds.
Okay,
that
so
help you
you
build
spoke
wealth.
about assets.
Mhm.
In your view, what's the best way to accrue wealth? Is it by saving the money in the bank? Is it by buying foreign currency, maybe euros or dollars? Or is it by, buying stocks? What's the best idea, especially for Southeasterners? Because I want us to speak to the concerns that the young ones here have, right? Some of them, they've made some money. It doesn't feel like anything, but they don't know what to do with it. It's too small to buy land, and then it's too big to carry around. So what do you suggest?
So I'll suggest we start, so you can split the money, right? There's the 20-20-60 principle. So out of that money you've made, decide that, okay, I want to start investing. The simplest option you can start with is investing. Before, you needed to go to a bank, access a stockbroker, but you don't need that. On your App Store, your Play Store, you have different apps that can help you put that money into government bonds or treasury bills, right? That's basically how you can start. You don't necessarily need to even just leave it sitting in the bank. You're not going to get substantial interest. And again, that money is losing value. That brings us back to inflation. So if you leave that money sitting in the bank, next year it can't afford what it can this year. But when you put it in an instrument, so you diversify, that's what I would suggest.
Okay, so let's talk about the challenges that emerging technology has posed. How many of us remember MMM? Ultimate Cycler. Do you remember them? The schemes. And then when those schemes disappeared with people's money, it turned millionaires into, what's the opposite of a millionaire? What if you don't have up to 1,000 naira? A pauper. Okay. So it turned lots of millionaires into paupers. Then we had other schemes as well that disappeared, right? And it really led to a lot of distrust, especially among the older generation as well, our parents who believe that many of these apps may just disappear. They don't trust those apps. Some people will tell you, if I use this app, I'm going to eventually transfer my money out. I can't leave it there. So what is the best kind of platform to save this money? Let's come back to you now. What's the best way to save this money, and what apps could be used?
Okay, so generally, I agree with Ayani. It's investing. Let's put investing front and center. I think the government has made it easy for us, actually, because for a lot of these apps, they have to be regulated and licensed by regulatory bodies. In some cases, CBN, in some cases, SEC, SEC. So you have to do your due diligence, right? We cannot be ignorant when it comes to our money. The goal is whatever amount you have, you need to multiply it, and it must be multiplying in a way that is taking you towards a wealthy position. So always check the app. Check whether they're licensed, check whether they're regulated, look at their track record, look at their founders, look at who underwrites them, if they need to be underwritten. Make sure you do all of that. So there's some apps that I would never, ever put money in because I don't believe there's enough information out there that gives me confidence.
Just for the sake of enlightenment, could you list some of those apps that you would never trust?
Oh, no.
Why not?
Oh, no. Oh, I trust Rise. Okay. I can say I trust Rise.
Okay, so let's balance it out. What are apps that you trust and those that you don't trust?
Okay, so let me put it this way. If your fintech app is still in MVP stage, you are still doing validation or testing, you launched just a few months ago, I would not put money there. Okay? If the app is regulated, licensed, and has been operating for quite a number of years, I will feel very confident to put money there. I also believe in separating my investments. So all my investments don't sit in one place. There are some banks that do ETFs. You can also leverage them. And then there's some platforms like Rise that do investments as well. You do that. Now, the reason I keep coming back to mindset is because the reason sometimes we fall for these unregulated or unlicensed platforms or MMM is because of sometimes it's greed, sometimes it's desperation, and sometimes it's just pressure. Some of us that are here in school, you're responsible for people at home, and somebody is telling you you can get 75% return in 2 weeks, and it puts you under pressure. So try your best to always make sure that the money that God has given you, you hold it and you multiply it. So don't play games with it. And like you said, in terms of how you invest, when you're thinking of investment, try and do 60, 70% of your investment in very low risk investment. Then you can do 20% moderate, and then you can do 5 or so for high risk. So you can still play in high risk, but it won't completely scatter your investment portfolio.
Very, very great points. I mean, very well put. So then if we track our minds back to 2023, close to the elections, we started experiencing what a lot of analysts called the cash crunch. The cash crunch. The crunch was a lot because you would want to buy fuel and you probably end up embarrassed because your app would not work, or you are the teller, you're trying to pay for something and then they say decline because there's no network. But how do you explain to everyone that there's no network? You can't. So they just think that you came without money, right? So there was a lot of financial embarrassment. And then eventually we saw the boom in the fintech companies. We saw Money Points. We saw the O-Pays. We saw the Palm-Pays. And now they have to pay me for the adverts, right? And they came and they closed the gap. So you could basically pay for something and the alerts will come instantaneously to the seller, right? So those fintechs leveraged those opportunities. And they solved the problems for us. They really solved the problem, and they also made a lot of money and got lots of clients. So many people here, they're tired of complaining. They've heard about the challenges, and they just want to know what opportunities exist. How can they leverage off this high inflation to build wealth? Let me come back to you, Anae.
Okay, so one thing to just say to the last question you asked before I answer is also before you invest, you need to know what the companies you're investing in, what they use your money to invest in. So they need to show you that, okay, say for instance, they invest in real estate. They need to show you the real estate properties and then how they can make returns. So if you don't know the structural foundation of how they make money, that's a sign that you shouldn't invest in that company. So now to your question, right?
The opportunities.
Yeah, the opportunities. So there are many opportunities. There's opportunities in upskilling your talent and what you can do. We're in a world where everybody's talking about AI expansion. If you're, for instance, a law student, have you started taking a look at AI law, AI regulations? Because a lot of companies are coming up and they're not thinking about these things. That's somewhere where you can invest your time. There are free courses on Udemy, free courses on Coursera that you can go on and they teach you these things. There's no area of study that you can't learn about AI. I'm emphasizing this because this is where the world is going. You can't put yourself out of it. The best way is to figure out how to use it. So there's opportunity in that. There's opportunity in freelance work. I want to believe that a couple of people here are already doing that. And if you are, you should continue. Position yourself to get freelance opportunities. This way, you're also able to earn in foreign currency. That way, you can balance out the inflation.
So the challenge here with inflation is the prices of items are rising faster than the income you're making. And then how many hats can a human being wear? How many jobs are you going to do? How many AI trainings are you going to do to be wealthy? So I would like us to, simmer on that. But I would also like to throw this open to the audience because I know that you do have a lot of questions and I want this to be interactive. So we have experts here, a business leader. We have a revenue expert as well. So could you, if you have a question, this is a great time to ask so that we can, leverage the most of this session. If you have a question, just raise up your hand on this topic of building wealth in a high inflation economy. Yeah. So could you speak to that and also how it's possible to become wealthy from an ordinary 9-to-5 job where you have a fixed salary?
Okay, so let me speak about inflation, right?